Yirmiyahu, or Jeremiah, chapters 51 and 52. Thus said Yehovah, see, I'm stirring up the spirit of a destroyer against Babel, against those who dwell in Leb, my opponents. And I shall send strangers to Babel, who shall scatter her and empty her land, for they shall be against her all around in the day of evil. Let the archer draw his bow, and let him stand ready in his armor. Do not spare her young men. Put all her army under the ban. And the slain shall fall in the land of the Kasdim, and the pierced through in her streets. For neither Israel nor Yehudah is widowed by his Elohim, Yehovah of hosts, though their land has been filled with sin against the set-apart one of Israel. Flee from the midst of Babel, and let each one save his life. Do not be cut off in her crookedness, for this is the time of vengeance of Yehovah, the recompense he's repaying her. Babel was a golden cup in the hand of Yehovah, making drunk all the earth. The nations drank her wine. That is why the nations went mad. Babel shall suddenly fall and be broken. Howl for her, take balm for her pain. If so be, she might be healed. We would have healed Babel, but she is not healed. Let us leave her and each go to his own land, for her judgment reaches to the heavens and is lifted up to the clouds. Yehovah has brought forth our righteousness. Come and let us relate in Zion the work of Yehovah our Elohim. Polish the arrows, put on the shields. Yehovah has stirred up the spirit of the sovereigns of the Medes. For his plan is against Babel to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of Yehovah, the vengeance for his Hakal. Lift up a banner on the walls of Babel, strengthen the watch, station the watchman, prepare the ambush. For Yehovah has both planned and done what he spoke concerning the inhabitants of Babel. You who dwell upon many waters, great in treasures, your end has come, the measure of your greedy gain. Yehovah of hosts has sworn by himself, I shall certainly fill you with men as with locusts, and they shall lift up a shout against you. He made the earth by his power, he established the world by his wisdom, and stretched out the heavens by his understanding. When he gives forth his voice, the waters in the heavens roar, and he makes vapors to ascend from the ends of the earth. He makes lightnings for the rain, and he brings the wind out of his treasuries. All mankind has become too brutish to know. Every smith has been put to shame by the carved image, for his molded image is falsehood, and there is no breath in them. They are worthless, a work of mockery. In the time of their punishment, they perish. The portion of Yaakov is not like them, for he is the maker of all, and Israel is the tribe of his inheritance. Yehovah of hosts is his name. You are my battle axe, weapons of battle, and with you I shall destroy reins, and with you I shall break in pieces the horse and its rider, and with you I shall break in pieces the chariot and its rider. And with you I shall break in pieces man and woman, and with you I shall break in pieces old and young, and with you I shall break in pieces the young man and the maiden. And with you I shall break in pieces the shepherd and his flock, and with you I shall break in pieces the farmer and his yoke of oxen, and with you I shall break in pieces governors and rulers. And I shall repay Babel and all the inhabitants of Chaldea for all the evil they have done in Zion before your eyes, declares Yehovah. See, I am against you, O destroying mountain who destroys all the earth, declares Yehovah. And I shall stretch out my hand against you, and I shall roll you down from the rocks and make you a burnt mountain. And they shall not take from you a stone for a corner, nor a stone for a foundation, but you shall be a waste forever, declares Yehovah. Lift up a banner in the land, blow a shofar among the nations, prepare the nations against her, Call the rains together against her, Ararat, Minni, and Ashkenaz. Appoint a commander against her. Bring up horses like hairy locusts. Separate the nations against her, with the sovereigns of the Medes, its governors, and all its rulers, all the land of his rule, so that the land shakes and writhes in pain. For every plan of Yehovah shall be established against Babel to make the land of Babel a ruin without inhabitant. The mighty men of Babel have ceased to fight. They remained in their strongholds. Their might has failed. They became like women. They have burned her dwelling places. The bars of her gate have been broken. One runner runs to meet another, and one reporter to meet another, to report to the sovereign of Babel that his city is taken on all sides, and the forts have been captured, and they've burned the reeds with fire, and the soldiers are startled. For thus said Yehovah of hosts, the Elohim of Israel, the daughter of Babel is like a threshing floor at the time it is trodden. Yet a little while, and the time of her harvest shall come. Nebuchadrezzar, the sovereign of Babel, has devoured us. He's crushed us. He's made us like an empty vessel. He's swallowed us up like a monster. He's filled his stomach with my delicacies. He's driven us away. Let the violence done to me and my flesh be upon Babel, says the inhabitant of Zion, and let my blood be upon the inhabitants of Chaldea, says Jerusalem. Therefore, thus said Yehovah, see, I am pleading your case, and I shall take vengeance for you, and dry up her sea, and make her fountain dry. And Babel shall become a heap, a habitation of jackals, an astonishment and a hissing without inhabitant. Together they roar like lions, they shall growl like lions' cubs. In their heart, in their heat, I prepare their feasts, and I shall make them drunk, so that they rejoice and sleep a never-ending sleep and not awake, declares Yehovah. I shall bring them down like lambs to the slaughter, like rams with male goats. Oh, how Shishak has been captured, the praise of all the earth been seized. How Babel has become a ruin among the nations. The sea has risen over Babel. She has been covered with the roaring of its waves. Her cities have become a ruin, a dry land and a desert, a land where no one dwells, neither does Son of Man pass it by. And I shall punish Bel in Babel, and I shall make him spew out what he has swallowed, and nations shall no longer stream to him. Even the wall of Babel shall fall. Come out of her midst, my people, and let everyone deliver his being from the burning displeasure of Yehovah. And lest your heart grow faint, and you fear the report heard in the land, for a report shall come 1 year, and after that in another year a report shall come, and violence in the land, ruler against ruler. Therefore see, the days are coming that I shall bring punishment on the carved images of Babel, and all her land shall be put to shame, and all her slain fall in her midst. And the heavens and the earth and all that is in them shall shout for joy over Babel, for the ravagers shall come to her from the north, declares Yehovah. As Babel is to fall for the slain of Israel, so for Babel the slain of all the earth shall fall. You who have escaped the sword, go away. Do not stand still. Remember Yehovah from afar, and let Jerusalem come to your heart. We are ashamed because we have heard reproach. Shame has covered our faces, for strangers have come into the set-apart places of the house of Yehovah. Therefore see, the days are coming, declares Yehovah, that I shall bring punishment on her carved images, while the wounded groan throughout all her land. Though Babel should mount up to the heavens, and though she should make the height of her strength inaccessible, ravagers shall come to her from me, declares Yehovah. Listen, a cry from Babel and a great destruction from the land of the Kasdim, because Yehovah is ravaging Babel, and shall silence her loud voice, and her waves shall roar like great waters. The noise of their voice shall resound, because the ravager shall come against her, against Babel, and her mighty men shall be captured. Every one of their bows shall be broken, for Yehovah is the El of recompense. He shall certainly repay. And I shall make her rulers drunk, and her wise men, her governors, and her deputies, and her mighty men. And they shall sleep a lasting sleep and not awake, declares the Sovereign, whose name is Yehovah of hosts. Thus said Yehovah of hosts, the broad walls of Babel are completely demolished, and her high gates are burned with fire, and peoples labor in vain, and the nations weary themselves for fire. The word that Yirmiyahu the prophet commanded Seraiah, son of Neriah, son of Maaseiah, when he went with Sidkiyahu the sovereign of Yehuda to Babel in the 4th year of his reign, and Seraiah was a quartermaster. So Yirmiyahu wrote in a book all the evil that would come upon Babel, all these words which have been written concerning Babel. And Yirmiyahu said to Seraiah, when you come to Babel and see it and read all these words, then you shall say, O Yehovah, you've spoken concerning this place to cut it off, so that none shall dwell in it, neither man nor beast, for it's a ruin forever. And it shall be when you have ended reading this book that you shall tie a stone to it and throw it in the midst of the Euphrates, and shall say, so does Babel sink and not rise from the evil that I'm bringing upon her, and they shall weary themselves. Thus far are the words of Yirmiyahu. Chapter 52. Sidkiyahu was 21 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hamutal, the daughter of Yirmiyahu of Libnah. And he did evil in the eyes of Yehovah, according to all that Jehoiakim had done. For through the displeasure of Yehovah, this came to be against Jerusalem and Yehuda, until he had cast them out from his presence. And Sidkiyahu rebelled against the sovereign of Babel. And it came to be in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th new moon, on the 10th of the new moon, that Nebuchadrezzar, sovereign of Babel, and all his army came against Jerusalem and encamped against it. And they built a siege wall against it all around. And the city was under siege until the 11th year of the sovereign Sidkiyahu. On the 9th of the 4th new moon, the scarcity of food was so severe in the city that there was no food for the people of the land. Then the city wall was breached, and all the men of battle fled and went out of the city at night by way of the gate between the two walls, which was by the sovereign's garden, while the Kasdim were near the city all around. And they went by way of the desert plain. But the army of the Kasdim pursued the sovereign, and they overtook Sidkiyahu in the desert plains of Jericho, and his entire army was scattered from him. Then they captured the sovereign and brought him up to the sovereign of Babel at Riblah in the land of Hamath, and he pronounced judgments on him. And the sovereign of Babel slew the sons of Sidkiyahu before his eyes, and he also slew all the heads of Yehuda in Riblah. And he put out the eyes of Sidkiyahu, and the sovereign of Babel bound him in bronze shackles and took him to Babel and put him in prison till the day of his death. And on the 10th of the 5th new moon, which was the 19th year of the sovereign Nebuchadnezzar, sovereign of Babel, Nebuzaradan, chief of the guard, who served the sovereign of Babel, came to Jerusalem, and he burned the house of Jehovah and the sovereign's house, and all the houses of Jerusalem, and all the houses of the great men he burned with fire. And all the army of the Kasdim who were with the chief of the guard broke down all the walls of Jerusalem all around. And Nebuzaradan, chief of the guard, exiled some of the poor people and the rest of the people who were left in the city, and the defectors who had gone over to the sovereign of Babel, and the rest of the craftsmen. But Nebuzaradan, chief of the guard, left some of the poor of the land as vine dressers and farmers. And the Kasdim broke the bronze columns that were in the house of Jehovah, and the stands, and the bronze sea that were in the house of Jehovah, and brought all the bronze to Babel. They also took away the pots and the shovels and the snuffers and the bowls and the ladles and all the bronze utensils with which they served, and also the basins and the fire holders and the bowls and the pots and the lamps and the ladles and the cups, and whatever was of solid gold and whatever was of solid silver, the chief of the guard took. The 2 columns, 1C, the 12 bronze bowls which were under it, and the stands which sovereign Shlomo had made for the house of Jehovah. The bronze of all these vessels was beyond weighing. As for the columns, the height of one column was 18 cubits, and its circumference was 12 cubits, and its thickness was 4 fingers hollow. And a capital of bronze was on it, and the height of one capital was 5 cubits, with a network and pomegranates all around the capital, all of bronze, and the second column with pomegranates was the same. And there were 96 pomegranates on the sides. All the pomegranates on the network were 100 all around. And the chief of the guard took Sariah, the chief priest, and Zephaniah, the second priest, and the 3 doorkeepers. And from the city he took 1 eunuch who was in charge of the men of battle, and 7 men who saw the sovereign's face, who were found in the city, and the scribe of the commander of the army, who mustered the people of the land, and 60 men of the people of the land who were found in the city. And Nebuzaradan, chief of the guard, took these and brought them to the sovereign of Babel at Riblah. And the sovereign of Babel struck them and put them to death at Riblah in the land of Hamath. Thus Yehudah was exiled from its own land. These are the people whom Nebuchadrezzar exiled. In the 7th year, 3,023 Yehudim. In the 18th year of Nebuchadrezzar, he exiled from Jerusalem 832 beings. In the 23rd year of Nebuchadrezzar, Nebuzaradan, chief of the guard, exiled of the Yehudim 745 beings. All the beings were 4,600. And it came to be in the 37th year of the exile of Jehoiakim, sovereign of Yehudah, in the 12th new moon, on the 25th of the new moon, that Evil-Merodach, sovereign of Babel, in the 1st year of his reign, lifted up the head of Jehoiakim, sovereign of Yehudah, and brought him out of prison, and spoke kindly to him, and set his throne above those of the sovereigns who were with him in Babel. So he changed his prison garments, and he ate bread continually before the sovereign all the days of his life. And as for allowance, there was a continual allowance given him by the sovereign of Babel, a portion for each day, until the day of his death, all the days of his life.